Welcome to E Squared Emporium for all things AP Psychology. Today, we will be looking at the nervous system. Part 1, the nervous system. Your nervous system is divided into the following parts, and we're going to go over them one at a time. You can stop and look at this chart, or you can wait till we go over each section. So the brain and the spinal cord make up the central nervous system. We remember this because it goes right down the center of our body. It is made up of 100 billion neurons in the brain. So again, the central nervous system, the brain, and the spinal cord, they help us make decisions about our behavior. The information travels down the spinal cord to the afferent neurons, and the spinal cord is the way the brain communicates with the rest of the body. So the function of the spinal cord, it connects the brain to the nervous system, the CNS, central nervous system. As a dysfunction, if there's a problem with it, if we have an injury, we'll have no reflex actions, no communication between the brain and the body. You might not feel any pain, but you'll also lose all sensation between the top and the bottom half of your body. So the peripheral nervous system includes every other nerve outside the central nervous system. So when we say something is on the peripheral, it means it's on the outside edges. So our peripheral nervous system is our fingers, our hands, our arms, our toes, our legs, everything outside that central line. It carries information to and from the central line of the central nervous system. Our peripheral nervous system is divided into two parts. We have the somatic and the autonomic, and we're going to break these down. So the autonomic nervous system basically helps us regulate vegetative processes. Think of it in terms of the word automatic. Automatic. What would happen automatically if we were in a coma? That's what we mean by a vegetative process. So if we were in a coma, we would still have our heart working, our liver, our kidneys, our body would still continue to function until we were able to get back online. So the autonomic nervous system, we don't think about it. You don't think about what your spleen is doing right now. You don't have to think about what your liver is doing right now. You don't have to think about your kidneys right now. They're just happening automatically, and that's the autonomic nervous system. So breathing, blood flow, digestion, heart rate, all of these functions. Now, in the autonomic nervous system, it's also broken apart into two branches, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. Let's start with the sympathetic nervous system. This is what we call arousing. I say it's sympathetic to your cause. If you're trying to escape a big stress, a saber-toothed tiger chasing you, the sympathetic nervous system is sympathetic to you surviving. It wants you to get away. So if we're frightened, let's say we have to give a big speech in front of thousands of people. If we're feeling very stressed, our heartbeat changes, our hands will sweat, our pulse rate will increase, our pupils will dilate, we'll breathe faster, adrenaline is secreted. This is our survival, fight, or flight. So in today's world, unfortunately, it's not as simple as just trying to escape an animal. We actually have that stress 24 hours a day. If you're on social media, you can have that stress on the weekends. You can have that stress in the evenings. It's not a saber-toothed tiger, but that stress is constant between school and sports and jobs and parents. And for parents, it's their bosses and, family. And we stay in our stress all day. We sit in our stress for weeks at a time, and it really wears down our immune system. So in the animal kingdom, when a rabbit is being chased by a fox and the rabbit escapes, the rabbit will go find a place to shake it off. The rabbit will shake it off for about 10-15 minutes, and it gets all that extra adrenaline out, and the rabbit is then fine for the rest of the day. We don't get to shake it off. We can't punch our boss. We can't run away home when we've had a bad thing happen to us at school or at work. We have to stay and sit for 8-9 hours and sit in our stress. So animals can shake it off, but we can't unless, of course, you're Taylor Swift. So the other part of the autonomic nervous system is the parasympathetic. This is the one that calms us down after the danger is done. This would be after the rabbit has had its 10 minutes of shaking. The rabbit is now in parasympathetic. We don't get to parasympathetic that easily. That's why we go home and we watch TV or play on social media, or we need to do something and, maybe we're avoiding our schoolwork. It's because we're trying to actually calm down the stress of 9 hours of being in our sympathetic nervous state. So both of these branches are trying to maintain homeostasis. That's a really important word to know for the AP test. So make sure you write down homeostasis. That's our balance. That's a balance between complete and total fright and complete and total relaxation. We're trying to find a balance there for our own survival. And this is what it looks like. The sympathetic nervous system is our arousing. The parasympathetic nervous system is our calming. And when the two of them are working together as they should be, we are in homeostasis. We'll spend some time in class on this. Now, again, the peripheral nervous system I mentioned had two parts. We just spent our time in the autonomic nervous system. Let's go back and look at the somatic nervous system. Somatic means of the body, of the senses. So the somatic nervous system is where we have all of our sensory information. Whatever we smell, good and bad. Whatever we touch, good and bad. So all of our senses, what we see, what we touch, what we smell, what we taste, it's all being brought to our somatic nervous system. All the efferent motor neurons that carry messages from the central nervous system to the skeletal muscles, they go through the somatic nervous system. And this is what it looks like. Let's say that you've got your finger on a hot candle, and the skin receptors tell you, this is hot, we're going to burn our fingers, you need to move your hand now. And it travels up through sensory neurons, and then back down to motor neurons to tell us to move our hand. And again, here's the entire nervous system in case you needed to complete your chart. And that is the end of part one. You are now ready for part two, the neuron.